Today I'm going to show you 3 looks and swatches from the new Fuji 5 Legs palette by Nomad Cosmetics. This beautiful and unexpected fall palette has 9 mattes, 5 shimmers, and 1 sparkling duochrome. For this first look, I want to focus on the blues and the yellows. I'm going to start with this golden yellow shade in my crease. This is a very nice, bright, and pigmented yellow. I'm going to take a smaller crease brush and use this dusty blue here to deepen up the outer and inner corners. On that same smaller crease brush, I'm going to take some of this darker blue and deepen up the outer and inner corners. So I have the Pat McGrath Intensifies Shimmer Grasp on my lid, and I'm going to go into this yellow shimmer here. In the yellow shimmer, there are blue sparkles that marry the blue and yellow mattes together really nicely. For my inner corner, I'm going to go into this beautiful iridescent shade. For my brow highlight, I'm going to use this icy blue matte here, and then I'm going to put this iridescent shade on top. I'm going to step away, put on some finishing touches, and then I'll be back to share my final look. Okay, and here's my finished look. For my bottom lash, I just repeated the same mattes that I used on my lid. So I started with this golden yellow shade, deepened it up with this dusty matte blue, and then deepened it further with this dark blue here. I used this golden shimmer just on the center of the bottom line, and I pulled the shimmer that I put in my inner corner slightly towards the bottom line as well. I used the Moira Cosmetics Multichrome Gel Liner in shade 04 Electra. For mascara, I used the shade from Lethal Cosmetics. For brows, I used Maybelline's Super Lock Gel. For blush, I used Candy Floss and Powder Puff from Dandelions Cosmetics. For my cheek highlight, I went back into this iridescent shade here. And finally, for lip, I used Mob Beauty M148. For this next look, I want to focus on the red shades and then also bring in some of the blue shimmers. For my crease, I'm going to use this red-leaning neutral shade. With a larger blending brush, I'm going to pick up that shade and blend it through my crease. With a smaller crease brush, I'm going to go into this bright red matte here to deepen up the inner and outer corners. So I added in the red, and this neutral color is working really well as a transition. Using the same small crease brush, I'm going to go into this deeper reddish purple matte to continue deepening the inner and outer corners. So I'm getting a really nice gradient here with the 2 red mattes. But if you want to go deeper and make the contrast more apparent, you can always put this darker red down first and then blend it out with this brighter red matte. That way this is going to be what's on your eye primer, and so it'll stick there better. I have my Pat McGrath Shimmer Grasp on, and now I'm going to go into this beautiful blue shimmer here for my center lid. I'm not sure if this is translating in the camera, but there's a very subtle purple shift to the shade. To bring the red and blue shades together better on my lid, I'm going to use this blue iridescent shade and tap it over the blue shimmer. I'm also going to bring this down over top of the red matte in the inner corner. Now you can see that the blue iridescent shade turned the matte red a little bit purple underneath. For my inner corner, I'm going to use this peach shimmer. With a small flat brush, I'm going to apply that shade to my inner corner. Here's what this is looking like so far. I'm going to step away, do some finishing touches, and then I'll be back to show you my final look. And here's my final look. To finish out this look, I went in with the same mattes as I did as my upper lid, so I went into this shade here, then deepened it up with this red matte, and deepened it further with this darker red matte. In the center of my bottom lash line, I decided to put this red shimmer here and layer the iridescent blue shimmer on top of that. For my waterline, I used the Moira Cosmetics Multichrome Gel Liner in shade 02 Chroma. For my cheeks, I wanted to do a frosty blush look, so I used the Icy Blue Matte from the Nomad palette, the shade Taffy from Dandelions Cosmetics, and that same shimmer shade from the Nomad palette that I used for my inner corner. For my brows, I used the Maybelline Super Lock Gel. For mascara, I just used the black Lethal Cosmetics shade. And lastly, for lips, I used the e.l.f. Honey Talks Lip Oil. For my third look, I want to use some more traditional fall colors, so I'm going to go into these yellows here and into the red. I'm going to start with this golden orangish shade throughout my crease. This is a nice golden orange. Next, I'm going to go into this purpley red matte here to deepen up the inner and outer corners. I want to use this yellow shimmer, but because it's a little bit sheer, I'm actually going to put this down on my center lid first. The shade wasn't as light as I thought it was going to be, so I went into this lighter yellow matte to lighten it up further. So now I'm going to go into this yellow shimmer and place it on my center lid. The shade is pretty transparent, but it gives the slightest hint of that blue sparkle. Now I'm going to go into this red shimmer to place on the outside and inside of the center lid shade. I basically just want to make the blend between the shimmers and the mattes more seamless. Okay, and here's what we're looking like so far. I'm going to step away for finishing touches, and then I will be back to show you my final look. So I recognize that red mascara isn't for everyone, so I wanted to show you this look before I put that on. And here's my finished look with the red mascara. For my inner corner, I use this bright yellow matte. For my bottom lash, I blended this in with this, and then I mirrored the shimmers that I have on top. So I put this in my center, bottom lash, and then this on the outside of both. I also use this shade as my cheek highlight. For blush, I used a mixture of these Dandelions Cosmetics shades. So we have Healer, Taffy, and Sweet Tooth. I used the Lethal Cosmetics mascara in the shade Voltage. I used Maybelline's Super Lock Brow Gel. I used Moira Cosmetics Multichrome Gel Liner in the shade 06 Nova. And last, I used the Black Moon Cosmetics Matte Lip in the shade Cider. I really like how Nomad put this color story together. You can always get your traditional yellow and red fall look like I did for this one, but you can also combine some other colors like yellow and blue, as I did in the first look, or red and blue like I did in the second look. I also really appreciate that there's a range of light to mid-tone to deep shades so that you can really get the depth that you want. The only shade that I haven't used in this palette is this dark blue here, but when I swatched it, it performed very similarly to this lighter blue. All of the mattes were pigmented and blendable. All of the shimmers were very shimmery. This one took a beating because I used it in two looks, and I also used it for my cheek highlight. And then this blue iridescent shade is really transformational, so I'm sure if you put this over any of the shimmers in here, it would make it look extra special. Here's the first column of swatches. We have a beautiful bright red shimmer, a dark red with some purple matte, and a bright red matte. In the second column, we have a nude matte, a dusty blue matte, and a blue shimmer. For the third column, we have that stunning blue iridescent shimmer, an icy blue matte, and a peach shimmer. In the fourth column, we have a muted yellow matte, a dark blue matte, and a dark blue shimmer. And finally, in the last column, we have the yellow shimmer with blue sparkle, the gold matte, and an orange matte.